Oh, what's up, guys? For some reason, it's not the live didn't go live on my account, but nevertheless, what's up, guys? It's Teach Me Tuesday. We're back at you again, dropping another episode. Today, we're gonna talk about the psychology of the home buying decision. Like, how do people come about to buying a home? So, home buying just isn't about the numbers. I know we talk about it all the time, but it's about emotions, identity, and the gut feeling when you really like a home. So yeah, you can do all your number crunching, you can do all your research online. But when you walk into a home and you have a certain feeling, man, it gives you that urge, man. I gotta have this. I can't go without. This is the one. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about those feelings, how that comes about, our own experiences, and then also how do we guide you with those emotions about a home when it may not be the best decision for you, or it could be the best, your best decision. So let's jump in. Let's talk about it. Gavin, LaShawn, and Wilmont. Let's go. So, guys, what do you think? How would you describe, um, what's some of? Well, Wilmont, I'll tell you what. We can jump with you first. When you take somebody into a house, what's one of the things that you either notice that they notice right off the bat that either turns them on to a home or turns them completely off?
Well, I'm gonna say this, man. Home buying for someone that's gonna actually live in the house is super emotional. Okay, it's super exciting, super emotional. It's like one of the things you'll never forget, right? And then, Gavin, I think we were talking about this before we got on. It's like I remember when I bought my house, right? And a funny story about that is
Mhm.
I wasn't even here. My wife came and looked at the home, looked at the property, and I was like, babe, you know, how did it go? I was excited. I wanted to know how the house looked, and she showed me the pictures, and I had all these emotions. It's like, oh man, that's a nice kitchen. Oh man, look at that refrigerator. So but man, when I'm bringing people out to a house, it's those experiences when they go into a home and they can envision themselves living there, right? It's like, oh man, we can put
Mhm.
the couch right here. We can set it up like this. Put the TV right here, you know, on this wall. Oh, we can do this with the kitchen. It's like when I start noticing clients like really envision internalizing themselves, their family living in this space, that's when it really gets exciting and emotional for them. So, but yeah, man, Gavin.
Mhm. Well, yeah. So,
That's a really good
let's
point.
what would you say?
Yeah, that's a really good
Oh,
point.
go
I was
ahead.
going
I'm
to
sorry.
say, no, you're good. I was going to say that's a really good point, like
Oh,
that both of y'all are making. Because can you hear me just fine?
Hmm. Good.
Okay. So
yeah,
I
we
just
can.
like when I thought about just the emotions behind buying a house, as a lender, we're on the other side of the transaction, right? So for the most part, we don't have that experience with the client walking them through and going through all of the checklists, the wish list of what they want, what they need, that type of stuff. At the end of the day, we're the money people. So on the money side, we're just we're just making sure that, okay, is the payment where you want it to be, is the out of pocket cost where you want it to be. But when a person is truly in that property and they're experiencing the energy from that house, I never really thought about it until someone brought it to my attention, because we're all in the sales world, whether we want to believe it or not. Like, I don't like to call myself a salesperson, but at the end of the day, I'm a salesperson. And I'm also a very logical person. I'm 30% emotional. Like, I don't make decisions off of my emotions, any of that stuff. And I don't react to things emotionally. But a lot of people are wired that way. And so the same thing when a person is buying a house, they feel it. So especially if they walked in a house and it's staged nicely, people then are like, ooh, they like. Or if it
Mm.
smells real good, it's appeasing to their five senses. They're like, ooh, this smells really good. Then they start envisioning themselves in there, whether or not they can truly afford it, whether they sometimes the payment, all that stuff just don't even cross their mind. They don't think about that until they're out of the house and probably like, when you may ask them, are you ready to make an offer? And then they start, then reality sets back in. But that
Right.
first initial gut thing is like, oh my gosh, I like this. I can see myself here. This is good because of the feeling that it brings.
You know, it's one real funny thing, Wilmot. I'm sure, like, in your upfront process with a buyer, hey, what are your must-haves? What things do you have to have, or what things are deal breakers that it's no need for me to look at a 3-bedroom house when you need 4 bedrooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you come across a good option or a good deal, and hey, I'm home. Am I still coming through clear to you guys? For some reason, it keeps buffering on my side.
Yeah, I was going
Can
out
y'all
just
hear
a
me?
little bit.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Just want to make sure I wasn't talking for no reason.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so when you got people who like have these checklist things, and they go into a home that doesn't necessarily check all those boxes, but that feeling, that experience, that smell, those fresh cookies that hit you in the nose when you walk in, and you're like, man, you know what? We bake cookies all the time, so it already feels like home just because of the smell of cookies in the air.
Right.
But guess
Right.
what? This home doesn't have the backyard that I wanted, or it doesn't have the man cave, or you know what, man, it lacks a bedroom that I thought I needed. But you
Mm-hmm.
know what?
Mm-hmm.
Because how I feel in this moment,
Right.
this could be the one. So it's
Right.
crazy how just those feelings can sometimes even help us, kind of bend or even break some of the things that we say we have to have in the home,
Right.
just because of
Right.
how we feel when we walk in it.
Right. And Gavin, one of the things I like to tell people is be open,
Hmm.
you know, especially square footage, right? Like this is a big one. I have people say, man, I don't want to look at the house because they don't have enough square footage. But I challenge you on that. Reason being is because let's say we start looking at new construction, the way they're building these new homes now, they are really being efficient and effective with the space.
Hmm.
So when you think that you need a bigger house, in actuality, you just want a house that's more functional. Okay.
Hmm.
And I've seen people walk into a house where it might be 500 less square feet than what they initially planned on, but saw how they utilize the space. It's like, man, you know what? I can work with that. I can do this. I got the bedrooms. It's not, it doesn't say 2,500 square feet, but it checks all the other boxes, just like you said, Gavin.
Yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, even like Sean, I think about the house that we live in now versus the last house, pretty much
Mhm.
same square footage.
Mm,
But we had, I promise you, we had like maybe 600 to 700 square feet in our old house that we weren't using. Like it was
right.
just we had like a living room. It's like going into your grandma house or something. You know, they got that room where people don't really sit, or they got
Got the
that big
plastic
dining
on
room
the
table. Yeah,
man.
so we kind of had that kind of space. But
Yeah, it
now,
had a lot of dead space in there.
yeah, so yeah, it's all about functionality. Um,
Right.
but so
But let
I
me
guess
ask another question.
go ahead,
But
Sean.
I
Go
have a
ahead.
question. I have a question. Let me ask another question. So, like, do you think that when it comes to buyers that are looking for a property, so I know Wilmot, this is probably definitely more geared towards your area. Like, how do you navigate that, right? How do you help guide them through that process? Because they may truly want something, but it may be a situation where their loan may not
Mm,
allow them to purchase that property. So that's where
mm,
strategy and creativity has to go, but they really
mm,
like it and they really want it. The
right.
mind is very powerful, and kind of sometimes once those seeds are planted and once that
Mm,
feeling is experienced, it's hard to walk a person back from it.
right.
So,
Right.
like for you, what do you typically see? Do you normally see? I'm pretty sure you have a plethora of different types of clients, but does majority of your clients would you say they're more emotional buyers or more logical buyers?
So I would say majority of my home buyers that's going to live in the house, and the reason I keep saying that that's going to live in the house, because I deal with a lot of investors. They are totally different. Okay. The emotions are on the shelf, as they say, because they're like you guys, they're all about the numbers, right? But then the ones that my first time home buyers, or even second time home buyers that's going to live in that property, um, yeah, they are very, very you said something at the beginning about energy, right? Like when you walk into a house, it's some clients, they pull in the yard, they don't feel it, they don't even get out the car. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've seen that, and I've seen people when they first walk into a house and they stay maybe, they walk through the house very quickly. A lot of times that's a no for them. But the times when I'm bringing clients in a home and they're browsing, they might even sit on the chairs, they might even go on the porch, and they just sit and just envision their family or themselves living in the home. Those are the properties that really speak to them and give them the energy that they feel they need to live in that home. I don't even know if I answered your question, LaShawn.
But the
But
question was, do you think it sounds like what you're saying, like for like people who are truly going to occupy the property as their
right,
like main primary residence, they're
right,
probably more emotional, and you did answer. And then like more of your investors, somebody who's not going to live in the property, they are probably more logical. They're
yeah,
they're just looking at the numbers.
absolutely. Like, and I think that's it. I really feel like because I think there's a culture out there that says, "Hey, buying a house isn't the right thing to do." Right? I've seen the arguments out there, but and I've seen people like when they were second guessing buying a home, but after they bought it, it was like, man, that's one of the best decisions I ever made. You know, and I've seen families like get into these properties and grow, and kids having a stable house they can call home. And I just think it's a whole lot that goes into it, more than just finances.
Mhm.
Okay. And I don't get me wrong, I want you to be responsible, okay? But I definitely want you to make a decision not based on your pocketbook, but also based on you feeling peaceful at that house, making sure you feel comfortable at that house in that neighborhood, you know, and because you can buy the cheapest house, but you get what you pay for as well, you know.
Yeah.
So and you don't want to buy something, especially if you feel like you're not going to have the means to fix it. That goes back to what you mentioned earlier, LaShawn, about, hey, if you got a FHA loan, right, a government loan, where they gotta make sure that that property meets all the standards for that house to qualify for that loan. You can't buy a house that needs a whole bunch of fixing up, and you want that type of loan. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna man, just almost drew a blank. But add to that, like the flip side of that, what you were just talking about, Wilma, how you want people to kind of have a balance of emotions and logic behind purchasing the home, because a lot of times when buyers do buy based off of emotions, like man, because think about it, when sometimes you go to a house. I'm very like an impatient person. Sometimes I don't want to go see 10 houses to make a decision. Once I see like two, if I've selected two or three offline, if one of those three got to be it, unless it just I don't need a whole plethora of selection. But that's just
Gavin,
me.
what's
And
so funny?
but what
Uh,
happens with someone like me, I may buy that, and then guess what, man? Less than a year or so later, I have buyer's remorse because I didn't do all of my due diligence, and I bought off of emotions as opposed to I bought because man, it got surround sound in the ceiling, and or man, you know what? That it's a big backyard, but guess what? I ain't had no barbecues in the last year. I ain't even sit
wow,
outside in the backyard, but I bought because it had a backyard, a
wow,
big backyard.
wow. And so, Gavin, the funny thing is, the husbands are normally like that. When I go out
Yes.
shopping with husband and wives, husbands, they're cool with looking at about 3 to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wives, no, we want to shop. You know what I'm saying? They typically like to shop for homes and go look at as many as possible so they can make the best decision. So I do notice that a lot of times when dealing with husband and wives. So yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good point, though. So I guess at the end of the day, I think that there should be a balance before we wrap up for our topic today. There should be a
Mhm.
balance between emotions and logic. I think when going into the home buying process, you have to remember, not only, yes, you want to envision yourself in the property, you want to make sure the property
Right.
has the utilization that you need for your family. But at the same time, you also have to just keep in mind that what buying a house truly means to you, and for every
Right.
individual and every family, that may be a little bit differently. But at the end of the day, it is an opportunity to gain wealth. It's an opportunity to create some stability in your life and your lifestyle. So you just want to make sure that when you're making the decision, that it's not 100% solely based on emotion. And at the same time, it's not necessarily all about the money, because it is a place that you're going to be laying down your head and kind of, be a permanent spot for you for a specific period of time. So with
Right.
that being said, you want to make sure that you understand where you truly are, what your budget's going to allow you to purchase, and then also make sure that it is something that's realistic, where you can make proper usage of the space that the house allows. So guys, once again, if you ever have any questions regarding mortgages and real estate and whether you should buy, or is this a good investment or not a good investment, you guys already know to definitely feel free to reach out to any one of us on any one of our social media platforms, and we'll always be happy to help you guys. So until next week, guys, we thank you guys for tuning in for this episode, and you guys have a great week. Bye.